I've been in both where the environment was uplifting and beautiful, and where it was kind of dreary and not so wonderful. And so I was so happy. This is the power of art, to bring these kinds of energies and colors and ideas into a space.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Palette. I'm your host, Whitney Rosenson, owner of Art Dimensions, your one-stop shop for fine contemporary art leasing and sales. Today, I'll be chatting with Karen Sikie, a collage artist from the Art Dimensions roster. Karen states, "No matter the medium or subject matter, my work is about the beauty and energy of the natural world. For me, nature is a way of life. It shows me how to live in peace, gratitude, and reciprocity." Listeners, I'm thrilled to be interviewing Karen Sikie and to hearing more about her inspiration and background. So let's dive in. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Whitney. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I know how busy you are, and I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to chat with me today and for welcoming everyone into your creative world.
My pleasure.
What are you up to these days in your studio?
Right now, I am doing a deep dive into the butterfly. I'm going to see how I can help my collectors honor their personal transformation through this iconic symbol. And I find that taking a deep dive into one subject is very interesting, because even though it's narrow in terms of subject matter, it actually has deep meaning and has a lot there to mine out. And so I'm doing this experiment right now with that.
That's so cool. So you're focused on the butterfly and the idea of transformation.
Yes.
Are you collaging that, or what materials are you using in that? And
so what's so exciting about it is, at first I thought, God, I'm going to get bored, doing these butterflies. But really what's happening is, and by the way, what I didn't know when I was doing my research on butterflies, a group of butterflies is called a kaleidoscope. And I didn't know that. And that's exactly what is happening when I'm dealing with their wings, because what I'm doing is, for example, I collect all types of papers, and I have these amazing calendars. One was ornamental calendars. So I'm scanning those patterns, I'm cutting them up. And my first butterfly was from this calendar. And what I found that was happening was these patterns were now getting fractaled and broken up and repurposed into these butterfly wings. So the possibilities for these wings are endless. I have sheet music, I have embroidery things, I have all sorts of calendars. And so I really feel that I could connect with my connector if they had something very personal that they loved. Maybe we could incorporate some text, something that we could, it's just endless what we can put there. I'm having a really great time. And of course, I can just see so many different ways these wings can be expressed. It's not about being realistic, it's about having fun with these wings. And then the very interesting thing that happened as well is, I know everyone's very focused on the wings, but when I was doing them, I was like, wow, the body has to really have a personality. It has to stand up, and it's almost like if that body wasn't strong and had some sort of personality, it's like the wings just were going to fall flat too. So I had a really good time also dealing with their little bodies, and every one of them is unique. So I'm having a really good time.
oh my God, these sound so beautiful and amazing. What size are these? I mean, are they really large? Are they small?
They're going to be small. Right now, they're going to be a 10 by 10. And the way they're going to become customized is that I have kind of a format, and it's going to be, we can choose from 3 different types of a moth and different templates of a butterfly. So the collector will get to choose what template, which butterfly they like. They can choose the background and have a lot of input in the color and what the wings are going to mean to them. And then from there, I will take that. And one of my skills is I'm a really good listener, and I'm able to really connect with my collectors to make this a personal for them, and so that they can have confidence that I'm going to be able to translate those things for them.
Oh my God, what a special project. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Why collage for you rather than another medium? I mean, when you think about your life in general as an artist, why collage rather than photography or sculpture?
I've thought about this a lot. I get asked this a lot. And I think because the paper can be very precise. And the reason I say that is because when I was little, the things I loved in terms of art was doodle art and paint by numbers. And those are basically a bunch of shapes. And I loved how those little shapes could come together and create an image. And that's essentially what I do when I'm working on a collage. Everything is broken down into a shape because then I have to define it and cut it up. And so it became this very precise way of describing the image. In addition to which, the patterns and all the different patterns and colors that I can get in a paper, I'm just so drawn to pattern. I often paint over these patterns sometimes, but that's what it was. And when I got introduced with paper when I was a framer and someone came in to modernize some old, beautiful Japanese photo that they had, and they wanted me to cut off this amazing paper. And I was like, "Ugh," I couldn't. I was like, I go, well, can I have it? And I kept it. And at that time I was painting and I was like struggling between the two. And I'm like, what if I start introducing these papers into the paintings? And then they just completely took over.
Okay, so this makes, when I think of patterns, I think of Weird and Bonnard, these artists such like the artists like that. So I'm wondering, were you influenced by any artists in particular, or in the beginning of your career, what influenced you and what influences you now?
Well, one of my all-time favorite artists is Klimt. And when I saw his patterns, I got teary, I remember, and just thinking how he mixed those and how the whole thing was pattern basically, but that you could still have this play between the background and the foreground and form. Sometimes the face was very modeled and beautiful, and then there's just all this pattern. And so I remember distinctly that. And then, of course, even Matisse, because he's had these simplified shapes, and then of course Frida Kahlo, and then from there I went into more modern people that I love for more nature reasons, but that Klimt was for sure. And come to find out, he's Austria-Hungarian, which is my heritage as well, which I did not know.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was kind of cool to have that connection with him.
Oh, that's very cool. I love his painting, the gold woman, or gold, what is it? Is it called gold woman?
I don't remember the name, but I know exactly which one you're speaking.
Yeah, it's hard not to know that one. Okay. Can you tell us about some of the different series that you have? We talked about the butterfly project,
Mhm.
but you've got a few different things going on.
Yes, I see these series as I have a portrait series and I have a nature series. And the portrait series, I consider us all part of nature. I don't see us as disconnected from nature at all. So when I'm doing a portrait, it's the same as doing a butterfly or a flower because literally, I mean, we're so inextricably connected to the planet. So for me, just to define a face and try to bring out that beauty in that person is just as satisfying to me. And I'm very interested in mapping the face and seeing how, again, with this inspiration from Klimt, how like could fabrics, how can I do a print on the fabric and how is that going to lay, and bringing in natural elements. So I have the portrait series, and then I have my florals, of course, which I love and never get tired of, and flowers. I mean, how could you not just love being with flowers all the time and their beautiful forms and colors? And then now kind of moving off into this butterfly series.
Awesome. I was just thinking, when you speak, it's very inspiring and very uplifted. I feel very uplifted when I listen to you. So, I mean, just your passion for what you do, and also visually, your work is just very inspiring. I want people to know you can check out Karen's collages at KarenSikie.com, which is KarenSikie.com. You can also see everything at artdimensionsonline.com. A lot of her work is on my site. But what inspires you to create?
I'm going to go back to the natural world. And actually, one of the other series that I forgot to mention is I also love abstraction, because I'm also completely enamored with the beautiful textures that we see in nature. And just sometimes you can't, that there's the physical beauty of a nature, and yet there's also these underlying things about nature, like the energy and the flow, that I also inform my life. And so I'm seeing my whole life through this lens of nature, that no matter where I'm looking, if I'm looking at clouds, if I'm looking at a rock or a bug, they're an invitation to go deeper into the nature of being on this planet. My inspiration is absolutely the natural world. I know there's other ways to go deep into your consciousness, but for me, the natural world is by far the most magnificent, the most beautiful, the most mysterious. And so I'm not this kind of artist that's like, well, I only do landscapes. I'm like doing, as you know, I like do the abstracts based on maybe the higher perspective of the landscape from above, just maybe some ideas about flow or energy.
Do you work outside?
I don't, but I'm outside a lot. I can't because it's too windy or whatever, but I don't do anything on site, but I will take inspirational photos for sure.
Okay.
I have to have access to outside, no question.
Oh, yeah, of course. I know you work with lucite also. So, I mean, I don't want to say only lucite and paper, but those are the two mediums you pretty much work with. How are they different? And what does lucite enable you to do that paper doesn't?
Oh God, the lucite is so fantastic because it is this translucent panel. And what it allows me to do is work both sides of that panel, creating these depths and layers, again, with this idea of nature, that's what it's also about. It's infinitely complex, infinitely deep. And so it really allows me to do things in a more ethereal way, or maybe a more delicate, airy, abstract way. Whereas the paper is much more meticulous and hard's not the right word, but solid. It's so much more solid. And the lucite, I can use tissue paper, which allows some light play. And so I'm finding it very, I'm so lucky because I can bounce between the two. I just did a big commission for Boston Children's Hospital and also Scripps, using lucite. And it seems to be very well received in these healthcare situations, because I think it can bring this calm, this kind of idea of water and light to any kind of space.
Which is so healing, right? I mean, you
It
want to
is.
kind of convey the idea of healing. Were these pieces large that you were looking
Yes.
to do?
They both were 4 large panels, like 30 by 30 each. And one was in the Thoroughway and Boston Children's Hospital, and one was just placed in the 4 panels were placed in the women's waiting room of the cancer center. That one had a really close place in my heart because my husband and my mom passed away from cancer. And I remember going to these institutions and, here you are in this really bad place, and just seeing, I've been in both where the environment was uplifting and beautiful, and where it was kind of dreary and not so wonderful. And so I was so happy. This is the power of art, to bring these kinds of energies and colors and ideas into a space.
So true. So true. I've been there too. If you were granted $1 million for an art project, what would you do?
Oh my goodness. I think I would do something in terms of conservation for the environment, probably some sort of a large scale installation. And I think, I don't know where it could be, in some kind of sustainable environment that people could come see and see the wonders, maybe using both the lucite and the collage. And I've always had this one great idea where a lot of times in my abstract work, both of my pieces can connect. And I could see doing a huge installation where all the work connects, but it's also changing very dramatically, because really that is what's happening, right? We're all connected, but we're also different. So I think that's what I would like to see, this idea of connecting us all through art and nature.
So beautifully said. Describe your aesthetic in 3 words, if you can.
Elegant, simple, and patterned.
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. Yeah, of course, if people look at your work, they're gonna know that makes perfect sense. So, how do you stay motivated to keep creating? I mean, you're always in your studio, you're working on something, you've got new projects all the time. How do you stay motivated? Do you listen to music?
I do. I listen to music. I listen to podcasts. I listen to your podcast. I listen to spiritual things that are self-motivating. And so I guess for me, again, because I don't see my life as any separate from my art, because my art is informing my life. And because for me, the depth of wisdom that nature has to offer is literally infinite. I can't even begin to plumb the depths of it. So there's always something there to discover and think about and contemplate. And in that sense, I'm also being expanded by those inquiries.
How long have you been an artist?
Oh my God, I'm 59, so 40 years.
Oh, wow.
But you know what? I think I was born this way. My dad was like this, and all my memories were when I was little. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I remember when I was a freaking kindergarten, we did a finger painting, and I was so not happy with it. I was like, "No, I need another piece of paint." Like, so I think I was just born this way, because I distinctly remember, like, this won't do. And then I really worked it out. I mean, that's a really little to be so concerned about a finger painting.
Well, I mean, if that's how your mind works, that's how your mind works.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanna wrap up a little bit, and I have something I wanna ask you, piggybacking on what you just said. Do you think creativity is something you're born with or something you're taught?
I think everybody has some sort of creativity in them, because I think we're just naturally creative. However, I think the way that it evolves can be cultivated and can be worked on. And I know my skill definitely continues to sharpen and expand. So I think everybody is just innately creative in some way.
Okay, but then also you can
Yes, for sure.
honor that
Oh, for sure.
creativity. Oh,
Absolutely.
I kind of agree. I mean, I do agree, not kind of agree. All right, what's your favorite season?
Fall,
Okay. Your favorite food?
sushi,
Your favorite music to listen to when you're working?
oh, like world music.
What is world music?
World music is kind of like
Instrumental?
Indian or tribal, or just different from different countries.
Oh, that's what you meant by world music.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. And lastly, what is your favorite type of dog?
The mutt.
Okay, this was awesome. Karen, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Well, I just hope you follow me on Instagram, check out my website, and thank you so much for this opportunity to chat with you, Whitney.
You're so welcome. This was awesome. Thank you for guesting on my show. And now for a little bit of admin. Listeners, please take a look at Karen's beautiful creations at artdimensionsonline.com. Also, her personal site is karensikie.com. It's Karen with a K and then SIKIE.com. I also invite you to join the Beyond the Palette Facebook group, where you can ask me questions, make requests, and see awesome videos with the artists I work with and other guests on the show. Karen, thank you so much for being a guest on Beyond the Palette. Thanks, listeners, for tuning in. And I just want to mention your Instagram handle, which is at Karen Sikie. You can see her art, installation shots. Do you have videos on your Instagram too?
I do. Mhm.
Okay, videos too. That's awesome. So to all the listeners out there listening, and to Karen, have an awesome and productive week and happy creating.